Good morning, folks. Soap scent inside this one here is going to be bitter almond. If I remember right, this is about 4 ounces of soap, 125 milliliter, as opposed to millimeter, like in yesterday's video. This is what the soap looks like on the inside. Nice red container. I like it. Allen block. No rubber band this morning. I still got a little bit of unscented witch hazel that's mentholated. I'm going to follow up this morning with a wet the face Barber Shop scented aftershave. Off camera, I'm going to use the Shaven Sailor beard oil. Got it whipped up over here in the Sriracha bowl. Got it whipped up with the, see if I can get the logo here, the Atomic Rocket 26 millimeter knot. This is a big brush, as well as a big knot. Got it whipped up. This time I added enough water where it's on the wet side. That's what it looks like here, whipped up in the bowl. Definitely got plenty of water in it this time. Wet yogurt, as opposed to maybe on the dry side yesterday. The shaver today, excuse me, a little bit different shaver today compared to yesterday. Excuse me, my nose has been giving me fits this morning. It's going to take a mini hair shaper blade, and this is what it looks like. And it will also, of course, take an injector blade. Same thing, just different dispenser. That's all. And the shaver I'm going to be using, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it because I know there's a different way to pronounce this one here, and I'm not wanting to booger it up, but you get the gist of it. It takes the blade, it is exposed here from here to here. This portion right through here, that is not the blade. That is something that if you like this particular shape, the way this looks, that is something you'll have to contend with, because this portion right here that is not the blade will remove the shaving cream. There's still enough residual slickness that you can still shave, that spot that got the shaving cream removed. But outside of that, in other words, there is something mentally you'll have to get past that hurdle. I know for me it was a big hurdle to get past. It is a very nice looking shaver. Plastic scales, very thick. Very nice. I mean, this is just to hold it in your hand. It feels nice and sturdy. I'll show you how the oh, by the way, that blade, I think it's been in there years, so we'll see how it goes. I have another one that looks very much like the same thing, just a different name brand. This one here is think of how you pronounce it. I think I come closer to saying this one correctly. Sanguine Cool Cut number 9. Same thing. You can find these on eBay, and to have it shipped stateside, I think it's roughly $16. I think it's $16.02. At any rate, I'll show you what the loading mechanism looks like, and it is pretty simple. It just pushes this way, and you can see right there how that blade just fits right up in there. Nothing to it. Easy to load. We'll see how this blade works out, because it's like, say, I think it's been in there for a good long moment. Pretty sure it's got at least one use, so we'll see how it works. I've already put a hot towel to the face, so we'll go ahead and get started with the what's left of the cube. It's getting pretty small. We'll see how this shave goes. If it starts to go too terribly bad, I'll grab a DE over here and we'll get it. Finish up the shave. It's been a good long while since I shaved with one of these, so we'll see what I remember of it. I thought I'd give them a try. It's been a moment since I shaved with them. I know for me, it is definitely a mental hurdle to get past, is the fact that that portion of the shaver removes the shaving cream before the blade gets a chance to cut the whiskers. There's residual slickness there, of course. It's just the fact that the that it's being removed before the blade gets a chance to do its job. And I know that when I first got it, I was a bit irritated with it. Didn't appreciate that fact, in other words. So I don't shave with it near as much. I'm kind of expecting that maybe one day mentally I'll get past it a little bit better than what I am right now, which I'm a lot further down the road than what I used to be. I know after I first got it, I was not happy with it at all. Very disappointed. But after I got past that point, and I guess you might say was a bit more objective about the shave, realizing that yes, the shaving cream was removed, but the slickness was still there. It didn't have such a negative effect as opposed to more of a mental effect on the shave. The slickness was still there. I still get a good shave with it. It's just too bad that the design couldn't have been done differently. But as it goes for how it feels in the hand, though, it's just it is really a nice shaver. How it feels in the hand, it feels awesome. It really does. But getting past that hurdle, the fact that it's removing the shaving cream before the blade gets a chance to do that, that is something you got to get past. Now I will have to say, which is kind of odd to me, it's a head scratcher. I have to admit, the price difference in between these two, there is one. So I'm a little bit late getting started, so don't be surprised if I don't go a little quiet during the shave in order to, I guess you might say, speed up the process. Maybe. In other words, my nose was running this morning. Every time I turn around, I was having to blow my nose. Yeah, definitely got this whipped up on the wet side. Feels better in the face. This name brand versus this one is cheaper. And it comes in 3 different colors. You can get this in the yellow. You can get it in this same color if you want to call it red or maroon. I think it's more of a maroon than red. But you can get it in this name brand, that same color, as well as black. But this name brand will be cheaper. And it's the exact same thing, just different name brand. And I like this one better because this right here is laser etching on the tang, if you will. Shank. Sorry, shank. This is the tang. This is a sticker. And on the other side, there was a sticker, and now you can kind of see it's already gone. And I haven't used it very much, so that was another thing that kind of irritated me about this shaver, that they use stickers, and this one here's got it laser etched on. And I thought that's a better one, and this one costs more. So even though it's just a few dollars, but still, at any rate, we're going to get started. And as well, if it matters, this pivot point, it is pretty snug. At least this one is. Both these are pretty snug as far as that goes. So it's not floppy, if that's a concern also. We'll go ahead and get started with this blade and see how it's going to work out for me. So in other words, for me, I would consider this the heel, the toe, and this would be one of the points as it goes for trying to line up right through here. So this is problematic for me, so I'll have to, it's an adjustment that you'll have to make it while you're shaving around facial hair like I have. We'll see how I'll work it out. So in other words, I might end up trying to do a across the cream pass. I should mention also that this is the only blade that this thing will take. If you can tell by that loading mechanism, yeah, this is the only one it'll take. That could be problematic for some folks. So in other words, in order for me to get close to this hair, I'm going to have to change how I normally would, yeah, I'm definitely going to have to change how I'm going to get close to line up that hair there. You can kind of see what I'm saying. It's already removing the shaving cream, so you'll have to overlap your passes, or your strokes I should say. It is something you'll have to mentally keep in mind as you're doing this. So in order for me to line this up, I'm going to switch this up. It's just something that you'll have to keep in mind if you're going to shave with a shaver like this. Like I say, it may not be for you, but on the other hand, like I say, it does feel pretty nice in the hand. It's got jibs right here. There's a lot that's working for it, and it's got some that's working against it. It's just unfortunate that it's got that much working against it. It makes it kind of tough. For me mentally, it's tough to it's tough not to be knocking so hard against it. Because I really need that heel right there, and I'm not able to use the heel because it's not available to me to use. So I have to switch it up and use the toe. Not the easiest for me to do. Especially, I have the camera that's staring right here in front of me, so I need to use the mirror in order to see how close I'm getting, so that I'm not taking off a big old chunk of hair. And so I'm leaning up against the wall. Interesting shave this morning. I think across the pass might be a better approach. And then of course the handle's going to get in the way. A lot of fun this morning. I don't mind doing these kind of shaves though. It's a challenge. It really is. It could be a lot worse. I can tell you this much, in case if you're not visually challenged like I am, looking through my bifocals at this point, it's nothing but a blur. Looking down like that through here, it is a bit of a challenge. And to be honest with you, it is easier for me to do against the green pass than it is with the green pass on my neck at this point. I can't hardly, it is so blurry looking through my glasses at this point that, in other words, this is easier for me to do. Just to point something like that out, you may have to make those kind of adjustments if you're like me. If if you're visually challenged. This is going to be one of those kind of shaves. In other words, your shave may not be picture perfect compared to other shaves that you may have. So if you're one of those that need to do a switch up on your shave in order to make things work for you, I don't see a problem with it. A number of folks do just a 2-pass shave, and I usually do a 2-pass shave with a shavette. But if your 2-pass shave is not with the grain and against the grain, but maybe it's across the grain and with the grain, it's whatever works best for you. That right there, I'm going to have to make sure I get that on the next pass. Feels pretty creamy though. Still got quite a bit left right through there though. That's that strip right through there. That's sometimes is not the easiest for me to get. Sometimes I can catch it with the against the grain pass. I have not shaved with this shaver for quite a while, so I think, in other words, if I'd shaved with it all week, I'd have gotten a lot better with it. It's the reason why I went ahead and broke it out today. Realized when I was going through my totes, I realized I had not shaved with this one in quite a while. Thought maybe it might be time to break it out and see if I can get familiar with it. I don't know though. Like I say, it's that mental hurdle that I've gotten better with it. It doesn't bother me quite as much, but the fact that it's removing the lather before the blade gets a chance to. But it is, like I said, I rely on the heel to outline the facial hair at times, and since I don't get that opportunity to do that with the heel, adjusting my shave for that sometimes is a little frustrating. I don't appreciate it much, in other words. I think one of my hairs is trying to come out. Kind of see what I'm talking about. I need that heel to come up through there, and I don't have it available to me to use, and just really not liking that part right there. You can kind of see where so for some folks this may not be a shaver for you. So in other words, in order to adjust for it, you'll have to go across the grain. And then trying to get this part here can be a challenge. Tomorrow could be fun. Like I say, this is not one of my favorite shavers. I do like it, the way it feels in the hand. Excuse me, but I just cannot. For me, it's such a challenge, and it's such a frustrating one. I guess you might say you can understand why I don't reach for it very much. For somebody else, perhaps that doesn't have facial hair, it probably works out a lot better for them. That or they figured it out. Got past the hurdle. Does require a certain amount of patience. Which I have other shavers that'll do the job without having the frustration. There you go. And not only that, price-wise, it's not expensive, but I have cheaper shavers, or even shavers that are in the same price range, that'll do the job without the frustration. Alright, I think I've got that one part through there. At least it did feel like it. Let me see. Still a little bit right there. It is a challenge to get this part right here. Not the easiest for me with these shavers. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. Have to say this is a very tight at the pivot point. It is very tight right there, snug. Yep, I think I got it then. Guess you might say finally. I have seen videos of folks that get a shave with this shaver and do just fine with it. I watch it and I guess you might say in amazement, because for me, I watch it and it looks so easy, and for me it is such a challenge. And I think it's a good video for me to do, because I know sometimes when folks do a video, it looks so easy for the guy to do. It looks like there's nothing to it, and then when you go to do it, it is like, oh my gosh, this is such, it is so difficult. It's not nowhere near as easy for me to do. And I think it's important sometimes for somebody to do a video to show that it's not always the easiest thing to do, that it does take practice, a certain amount of patience, and I guess you might say determination in order to get it down where it's a good shave and where you feel comfortable with it. And for me right now, this is not one of those shavers where I'm real comfortable with. I mean, not necessarily that I get a bad shave, I just not comfortable with it. It's hard for me to figure out how to get my line up around my facial hair with it, where I'm used to using the heel. I can't use the heel, so I have to figure out how to maneuver around to use the toe a lot more. And it's not for me, it's it's a very challenging shaver to use for me. The blade, the blade doesn't feel bad to me in this shaver. I know that if you don't think that or don't feel like you get good shaves with an injector, you got the same blade. Even though it's in a different kind of shaver, it's still the same blade. And you may want to give that consideration, that even though it's in a different shaver, you may not appreciate that blade. And that is the only blade that this shaver will take. You don't have options. I did look at the blade before I started with it. Visually I couldn't see anything wrong with it, but it had been sitting there for a moment, so I didn't know if anything started growing on it, in other words. got just a little bit of stinging, not a whole lot. It is kind of easy to put a little pressure on this kind of shaver, especially if you're not used to it. Right back over here when I was trying to catch that one part. I have to say though, this really does feel good in the hands. It has a nice weight to it. It feels something relatively close to a straight razor. This has a nice weight to it. The scales are nice and thick. There's not any flex to it. The pivot point is tight. In other words, it does not flop at all. It's got a lot going for it, but for me, the parts that I rely on so much, I rely on the heel, more on the heel than I do the toe, and maybe that's just an adjustment on my part that I need to make in order to make this shaver work for me. But for me, I rely on the heel a lot when I'm shaving, and maybe that's just something I just need to make that adjustment. It's something I need to work on perhaps. I'll shave with the yellow handled one tomorrow, and we'll see how it works out. It's a good thing I still have a little bit of the mentholated witch hazel cooling down, because I had that little bit of stinging right there, and that'll help that out somewhat. Definitely using a fresh blade in that one there. That blade, it's like I say, I'm pretty sure it had at least one use, but maybe it had two. That may have been the third use, but it had been so long since I used it. There's no telling how many uses I actually had on it. I could have had more than one. There's at points I could kind of felt like that it had more than one use, but it had been set there for a while, so there could have been some, something growing on it, and I just couldn't see it. I know it did. At times it didn't feel quite right. I'm going to go ahead and follow up with the aftershave here. I didn't have anything in the way of follow up with an almond, and definitely felt like a barbershop type scent this morning. And I do like this scent. Fun shave, challenging, but I like the challenging ones. Tomorrow maybe I'll get better at it, especially after I've get a moment this morning to think about how things went this morning. Figure out how to use more of the toe instead of the heel. It's definitely a challenge. Had a lot of fun. Oh my goodness, it's going on 30 minutes already. My battery's already blinking at me. I gotta go. Hope everybody is doing well. Stay safe and smooth shaves to you.